What's up, party people? In today's video, I am going to be showing you guys a guide on how to farm the MC3 / do that Crespo Hardmode dungeon. It's been a while since I've made a guide for that. I have an old one, but it's outdated. The dungeon doesn't work that way anymore. This video came about because in my Discord, I got a recommendation for this guide from Steve here. Is it possible to make an MC3 or Forgotten Underground Temple Guide. I know it requires a neatly equipped party, but can those be farmed solo? So, first off, I do actually have a Forgotten Underground Temple Guide already, and I'm pretty sure it's still relevant. The only thing that has changed is the location of where the dungeon starts. But this video is going to be all about the MC3 and whether or not you can farm it solo, and I'll give you my honest opinion on that. So, yeah, we're just going to get right into that. I had to do a little bit of an adventure to find out if this was possible or not, because I haven't done this in a super long time. But before I show you guys the actual dungeon, I just want to show you the crafting process. In order to craft this, or craft the MC3, you have to have the armor crafting mastery selected, and then you can go to armor, mastery level 3, and then you can see your helms right here. So we'll just pull up this one, for example. This is the Concert Summoner one. So these are the items you need. You need 100 Arcadian Gold Dust, you need 30 Enchanted Plate, and you need 20 Condensed Fire. Now, where do you get these? Well, all of these actually drop in the Crespo Hardmode dungeon. So let's head over there, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So in order to get to this dungeon, you can take a teleporter from Ardeka, and you're just going to go to Crespo. I would also like to mention that there is a quest that you can get whenever you run this dungeon. I've never really gotten anything good from it, but I know you can. It's this Ayad guy right here, and he has this King of the Mages quest, so you'll try that, you'll take that, and if you look, oh, I lied, this is not the King, it's not the King of the Mages quest, it's, which one is it? Maybe the Threat quest? Oh, I completed it, oops. Yes, it's this one, and you can do it multiple times a day. So it's this Crespo threat, this Crespo's threat, and as you can see, you can get an MC3, and very low chance, but you can also get all the equipment or the pieces that you need in order to craft your weapon. Okay, so the actual dungeon though is located over here. So we're just gonna run over here really quick, and once you're over here, in order to enter the dungeon, you need to be level 190, and you need to have at least 2 people in your party in order to get in. When I was trying to do it solo, I would just log in alt and you buy your ticket and you can do it. Each time you buy a ticket, the ticket gets more and more expensive, so that's something to keep in mind as you're farming this. But yeah, so I'm going to delve in now to my adventure when it came to trying to find out if this was soloable or not. So to answer this question, I decided to just go try to solo the dungeon myself. Haven't played in a while. Out of practice, etc. And I did it without any buffs, and I did it without any runes. I was like, okay, let's just get a baseline for how hard this is. And what I found out is that the falling rocks in the final boss, which we'll talk about when we're going through the dungeon step by step, while they are avoidable, it is challenging to avoid them sometimes. You know, depending on the situation, the way they're marked is not super clear, and that can be very frustrating. So in order to deal with this, well, the reason I figured this out is because I died. The first time I tried to do this, I died. I was unable to complete the dungeon. I got on the final boss. I got him fairly low, and I got killed by rocks. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can make this easier. I can go ahead, I can get myself some runes, and I'll have more HP, and that's going to help a lot. So that's what I did. So I activated all my runes, which substantially increased my attack power and my HP, and I went ahead and I went to run the dungeon again. I definitely recommend, if you're running this dungeon, to have over 100k HP, and you also really need to be a class that has some type of healing ability, that you can heal yourself up pretty quickly, because that way, if you do get destroyed by the falling rocks, your HP will be high enough that it won't one-shot you, and you can very quickly recover your HP. So I recommend all those things. Now, given that you have the runes and you have over 100k HP, you can solo this, and I'm going to kind of show you how I managed to do it. Okay, so here is my run of this dungeon solo. As you can see, I now have all the free runes activated, and I also used a couple buffs just to increase damage and HP. So you're just going to run forward. You don't really have to break these coffins except for the first one. The other ones, you just get a little bit of dill, and you just want to group these guys up, bring them together, and just kill them all at once. I recommend having pretty high PvE and DDR in order to run this dungeon. I know when I was running this, I had 74% PvE damage resistance, and I think I had about 40% DDR. So I could have had even more. I just, that's what I had, available to me, so I went with it. And I was able to survive pretty comfortably throughout the dungeon with that. So if you can get those even higher, you're going to be even better. And like I said, the more HP, the better as well. Anyway, you're going to pull that lever, run forward, and you're going to go to the next room. Now, you can handle these coffins one at a time. I'm impatient, and I know I have the capability to survive with my bubbles and stuff, so I just kind of try to do everything at once. I stack them up, I get in the corner there. If you run in the corner, everything kind of just runs straight to you, and it allows you to kill everything really quick. So do that, and then once you kill enough of the enemies, it'll open the door to the next area. And then, you have to run through this hallway. You can kill them if you need to. If you're like me, you throw on sandals, activate your bubble, and then you can run through and you don't have to deal with it at all. You're going to go up to the altar. You're going to activate the altar. And then once you've activated the altar, you have to kill these 4 big guys. They hit kind of hard, so be careful. But as you can see, I was able to kind of just KB them away from me. I didn't have to deal with the damage too much. You're going to activate the altar again. You're going to go and you're going to break this barricade here, and you're going to activate this other lever. That's going to remove the steel gate to allow you to kill the optional boss. If you're farming for the MC3, you need to kill the optional boss because that's where you're going to get most of your drops from. I usually just wait here and let him come to me. He hits pretty hard, so you have to be careful. But if you bring him here and you just start damaging him, there's a decent chance that he won't even hit you, and you can just kill him really quick. He doesn't have a lot of HP. Once the optional boss is down, you're going to head to the main boss. Now, you want to pay attention on the top left to the time before NPC dies. If you do not complete it before that timer runs out, you're most likely not going to get a drop for your MC3. So you want to make sure that you're completing this quickly or your damage is high enough to complete it quickly enough. In this room here, you have to be careful because when you walk through to the next area, you break the stone, any monsters that are in the room with you will go with you. And I've made the mistake before of having a bunch of those in the room and then activating it and then having them attacking me while I'm trying to fight the boss, and that becomes very difficult. Now, this boss in the old version of this dungeon used to be a lot easier because you used to be able to break the stones in the hallway and then you wouldn't have to worry about falling rocks. They got rid of that mechanic. Now you always have to deal with the falling rocks, and I'm not going to lie, it's very annoying. As you can see, you can dodge them. You'll see where they're going to fall. You want to step out of their way. However, if they do hit you, that's why you want to have above 100k HP because, they were hitting me anywhere from like 80k to 110k. So having 130k plus HP, I was able to tank the hits if they accidentally hit me, and then I could use my vampire touch to fully regenerate my HP and keep on going. You can, as you can see, you can kind of kite this boss, and you can avoid quite a bit of the damage if he's hitting you hard. That's what I spent a lot of my time doing. The little mini guys that pop up, they have a lot less HP, but they hit really hard. So you want to try to kill them as quickly as possible. Anyway, that's kind of the wrap up for the mechanics for this boss. Again, having the high HP and a healing ability makes all the difference. So if you have a class that has that ability, I think it's possible to solo this. Otherwise, it's going to be very challenging. Honestly, I feel like most people who can solo this already have an MC3. And to be completely honest with you guys, the MC3 supplies, it's a lot of times just easier to buy it from other players. Just because, they get them from events and stuff like that. Anyway, the main boss isn't where you're going to be getting most of your drops. You're going to break this chest, you're going to activate a lever, and you're going to go into the side room, and as long as you killed the optional boss and completed the dungeon in the correct amount of time, you can break this chest here, and that's where you're going to be getting the drops that you need to craft your MC3. Again, this is kind of hard to solo, for sure. I was able to do it with runes, and it wasn't too bad. But you're probably going to want to do this with a party, especially if you don't already have your MC3. Make sure you're taking that quest every time you run the dungeon because you have a chance to get additional supplies. But as I mentioned before, it's a lot easier to just, go use like treasure hunter rune boxes, farm keys, and just buy the supplies from other players. Just because there's a lot of events and things in the D shop where people get these supplies without even farming, and you're going to save yourself a lot of time. However, if you do want to try to farm it or you're trying to reroll your MC3, this is definitely a viable option. Anyway, I hope this was a relatively useful overview of kind of what this dungeon looks like and what you need to do to complete this dungeon. If anyone else has any suggestions about this dungeon or farming the MC3, you can leave them in the comments, help other people out. And as always, suggestions, anything like that, leave them in the comments. And until next time, guys, take care. Peace.